that, because I always do these reads sort of out and about, I did feel that they did not come through clearly. It almost looks like it cut off, and I'm not sure if that's just because I was a little further out of sort of a main network or whatever. So just wanted to let you know I'm trying to redo that again, just to see if there is something here that's a little bit more relevant and interesting for the month of March for you. So I think a couple of the other ones did turn out not too bad, although it looks like the readings were a bit shorter. So we'll try to replicate these for all of you. Okay, so we're going to just jump right in. And first off, we are starting with what is kind of coming in on a general basis. If you're new to my channel, how I read the cards is I've got clarifiers, and this is an oracle deck, so it's a little bit different than the cards that I would otherwise use with tarot. So I'll do that at a separate time frame. But for the moment, we're just going to start out with the Osho deck. So what I'm looking at here, and I have pulled some cards about what are the positive things coming through, what are the cards that we're kind of dealing with on a regular basis, day to day. And then, of course, I had some cards as far as advice, as well as kind of a layering of what's coming in terms of finances. So we'll just kind of jump right in there. So again, you're not all making decisions on a Monday or a Wednesday, so take it as it resonates. Some of you may be making decisions further out. If it's not your story at all, then it's not your story. But either way, we'll just jump right in here. Okay, so what I'm looking at is the card of the mind. And sorry, I'm also getting over a bit of a cold here. So if my voice cuts out, please bear with me. We also have rebirth, and we also have conditioning. We also have traveling, control, the source, intensity, beyond illusion. Now, I have pulled some other cards off to the side, but we'll get to those here once we sort of deal with these initial generalities. And so what I am looking at here is the theme of March seems to be looking along the lines of kind of a mental reset. So it's like a break of the old conditioning, and there's forces that kind of maybe push you into that situation where you are more along the lines of surrendering your control. And this helps to kind of bring you to the surface, or bring to the surface more of a deeper or more authentic version of yourself. And I feel like that's what's emerging here. It's where you're more congruent. It's not really a light month, but it is more of a transformative month. Now, I have considered some of the other cards as far as the actual numbers here as well. So keeping that in mind as well, we did have, the mind here, which is a card of duality. So that's also an indicator that there can be some sense of an internal conflict that you're dealing with. However, followed by the rebirth card, that is also an indicator that there is some sense of structure that is dissolving around you, and then things begin to stabilize, because you have a conditioning card, which is dealing with attachments and social identity. Also anything that's kind of in around the relationships and those kinds of things, dealing with those kinds of patterns. So we also have the card of traveling. Now, it is an 8, and of course we are looking at, things that would deal around power, or anything that's forward movement. So I feel like what's happening here, just in the general sense of it, and then we'll tie it all together for you, has more to do with things around power struggles and vying for control. So I feel like at the core of it, you are very much in touch with source and with your spiritual center. So I feel like there is a real raw life force energy and an intensity that's coming through that is helping you to awaken. And then it's like there's a second chance of, getting clarity through this duality, through this sort of double mindset. There is a heavy pattern of the 281, so that would be the duality, the power struggle, and identity asserting itself, that kind of thing. So I feel like that's really the main thing that's coming through here, is that, about who you are when you stop trying to control the outcomes. So there's also, like I said, the mind, quite as the first card out here, with rebirth and with conditioning. which is also an indicator that we have something here of a family narrative that is being shaped. So there's relationship expectations, there are social roles, there's fear-based assumptions, and I feel like that may give you some discomfort, and it's the belief isn't even yours necessarily. So it could be dealing with some kind of projection or something from the past, or again, a family narrative or something here that has influenced, what's going on in your head. Now, there is that rebirth, like I said, with the level of intensity. Um, so there is something here that, sorry guys, gotta zip through the cards here again. So the rebirth card really does give that sense of, letting go of the ego energy here. So it's where you're becoming a little bit more emotionally raw. And, in other words, you might be reacting very strongly to things that you see as an injustice, or, something that you feel is not right. Either way, it feels like you're driven to change something immediately and sort of take control of things again. But again, this is also where that duality is in that struggle. So it's transformative, but it's also very volatile energy. So there's something here about traveling and control as well. And that would be something along that lines of moving forward, but also fighting the flow at the same time. So again, there's a little bit more of that duality coming through in a few different areas here. There could also quite literally be a trip for some of you, or some kind of literal movement, but I do feel like there is also an emotional distance or shift that's coming through, and it's like there's a decision about a direction that you are now feeling, that you're able to make. So again, that control card did come out here as well. So that would also indicate that it is also a card that warns, don't try to micromanage a situation, because that outcome is going to backfire on you. And what I also would say with the card of the source is that this is where maybe mid to late March sort of time frame, it's like you're spiritually clarifying where things are going. So you have a moment when you kind of realize that you were overthinking something, you were trying to force the outcome or force something, but really the truth was simpler than the drama. And this is where you get this awakening energy. So the most positive kind of energy that I'm seeing from this set of cards, and again, we've got a few other cards pulled off to the side, is that you're going to break a mental pattern that's limited you. And this could be limited you for years, because this is kind of the energy that I would get off of that. You stop trying to fix everything. You are starting to reconnect with an inner calm. And again, there's like a new version of you that's stabilizing, because the rebirth energy is here, and 4 is a stabilizing energy after it, cards of intensity. You're seeing beyond the illusions. You respond instead of react. You would feel empowered here and grounded, instead of, doing anything with an extreme reaction. Now, if we were looking at kind of more of the negatives that you would be sort of countering, it would be more along the lines of, not allowing yourself to spiral mentally out of control. Don't try to control someone else's choices. Don't, really be mindful of how you react, and don't try to intensify burning of the bridges, anything like that. It's really more about, when you get to the card of beyond illusions, this is where you have been feeling sort of betrayal, and those illusions are now starting to collapse, and that is where you can resist change and exhaust yourself. So the danger there would really be, more along the lines of, emotional over control, which can be leading to some kind of emotional explosion or overreaction. So just again, it's, the advice would really be kind of radical acceptance. It is what it is in this moment. Don't identify with the feelings as your identity. It is, control cards usually indicate that there can be some level of suffering or resistance. And some of the skills that you can use, that you can work toward dealing with those issues, would be just to observe the thoughts without acting on them, let things kind of roll through you, delay a reaction, for about 20 seconds or 20 minutes, before, once you've been triggered, before you really respond. So the other part of it, again, is that, taking yourself into any kind of distorted mindset of catastrophizing things, and then breaking it down. What evidence supports this? Really challenge your own thoughts and the things that contradict. So overall, like I said, conditioning card is here. And that means that you're feeling like you're in some kind of old identity loop, or at least it's presenting itself in some way in the month. And it's like, I'm stuck in this pattern. So you move it to reframe as, I am someone that's learning to respond differently. So again, your language, that you internally speak to will also shift your internal state. So now we'll kind of get into so some of the other cards here, which would be off to the side. Sorry, it's getting a little dark here. I'll see if I can turn the light on a bit. All right, so we are now at the card of ripeness, and we also have politics and breakthrough and receptivity. Now, this one is more along the lines of a connection that's significant to you. So I would say it doesn't have to be a relationship that's romantic. It can be a close friendship, a family friendship, something that's very close or that's on your mind in the month of March. Whatever that main relationship is, I would say the sequence of these cards tells the story that something is reaching emotional maturity. And so that's why the ripeness card is here. The tension or the ego or the positioning, which is the politics card, is really where the truth breaks through. And this is where there's softness because you've got receptivity here. So it's like, it's not a collapse spread, it's more of a maturation. Whatever that connection is, it's like things are starting to mature, and then there's going to be some level of breakthrough and a level of harmony. I'm not saying, big hugs and everybody kind of, kumbaya and all of that. I'm saying that there is more of an emotional openness energy. So whatever that next stage or next level of receptivity looks like to you, it's going to be kind of that next step. So it's not fully embracing, but the ripeness card does indicate that it is sitting at completion of an emotional maturity and harvesting period. And then, of course, politics is the card of number 7, which is strategy and being guarded. But it is also something here about, how one positions themselves in terms of ego. So the breakthrough is all in around that energy, and that's the heart chakra. So this is where harmony is pulling through the truth. So things are balancing out, basically, is what I'm saying there. And that's a really powerful combination because the ego is starting to lower over time. And, it's starting in the month of March. So again, it's where a pattern can't continue. A truth is being observed here and it can't stay hidden. It's coming to the forefront. And so there's emotional tension, emotional tension that's around it, but it's also readying you for, something to mature to the next level. So that's why we have something that it's not a dramatic kind of move into it. It's more of it's time, for things to change. So, and especially with the politics card too as well, it's like holding back what you really want to feel or what you really feel and sort of strategizing your words. But it's also testing each other's emotional sort of safety in a safe space. So politics again is all about ego and defense, but it's not manipulation in a malicious sense. It's I don't want to get hurt. But because the breakthrough card is here, it's like a real conversation is going to be had. And there is something here about emotional honesty, a moment where you both understand each other differently or see something differently. So there's a number 6 energy here as well, and that brings a reconciliation sort of potential. And again, receptivity is also the card of softness. So there's something here of an emotional shift that is changing in one or both of you, where there's the ego has dropped on some level, so you stop posturing, and there's again honest communication, softer dynamic between the two of you. I would say the core lesson of all of that is, can you be receptive without controlling the outcome? So can you just be open to what's being said without judging it? So, you're not judging it by saying this person doesn't care about me or they're rejecting me, that kind of thing. You want to challenge the story before you kind of react. The next set of cards here are about your finances. So this level of cards has more to do with comparison. And what this one, and also, sorry, I'm just looking for an additional light here to see if it will work in my favor, but it is, oh, there we go. Okay, so the card of comparison next to the Lovers, as well as participation. So the combination here, this is a very relational financial spread, meaning there's more than one person, or there's something that's being aligned here, or there's some kind of collaboration and able to, advance yourself in terms of your finances. So it's not just income flow, it's actually more along the lines of, you know, alignment of more than one person that's kind of helping to assist in the situation. So again, there's still a lot of cards here. The 5 is there's been a shift in some way with possibly a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and then there's participation. So it's almost like there's been a shift that they're going ready to cooperate. So there's something here, like I said, in the month of March that speaks to more of a constructive period financially. And if it's handled well, I feel everything will, continue to align here, because it's collaborative energy, it's alignment, and it's not comparing yourself in any way. It's more choosing what the next step is with an intentional mindset. The Lover's card out here does indicate, of course, the 4 is stability, and the Lover's card is an indicator that there is a financial choice or a path. And so you're choosing alignment over pressure. So you're choosing long-term over short-term sort of situations here. And again, it could even be that there is a financial conversation where there's a little bit of competition around it initially, but it's a partnership decision ultimately, and, to participate. And it does feel like it's contractual, or that this person, or that there's some kind of a very long-term bond in this situation, like an established bond in some way. The foundation card with the number 4 is definitely participation. So that again is slow building, practical work, and it's stability through cooperation. And hi there. Yeah, I mean, if you have a question, Dallas, for sure, throw it up there. I'll do just this. I'll just finish off this one, and then I can answer your question and see what comes through. Now, we also have the final cards out here. Because again, I feel financially you're sort of building something practical here, but there is something with the number 10. This is an end card here as well, and it definitely speaks to, harmony in itself is pretty positive and straightforward. It's, your heart is in balance. It's like there's more of an integration. There's fulfillment here. We are the world. There's also that level of shared abundance, and it's kind of overflowing with fulfillment with that card. And no nothingness is all about, it's like the 0 point. It's a reset. It's like the void. It's pure potential here. Oh yeah, just you can do it as, yeah, $5 is good. I do it by a donation for sure. So what I see here with no nothingness, again, it has something to do with, the pure potential is here in this situation for however you want to apply it, but it is a reset for yourself. And again, because I see the card of aloneness, there is something here of a spiritual maturity. It's, your own personal journey. So it's like a self-contained wholeness of sorts. Now, the last card out that was at the bottom of the deck is creativity. So this is like an expression where you're manifesting something, you're expressing yourself. It's a rebirth, it's a birth energy of something new that's coming out in the month of March. So again, you've got connection, you've got fulfillment, there's emptiness, but there's also self-containment, and it's a creation, but it's also a rebirth cycle. I definitely overall, just feel like you've got more emotional harmony in this month. And I feel like you're capable of feeling more in this month than you felt in a while. And again, however that looks for you, but it still feels like there's less reaction, more, inner steadiness, and like a sense of, I can handle this. It's really a sense of integrating everything. You feel more supported, that your connection is widening. There's a sense of not being alone in your struggles. It's a completion of something that you've been working toward. And I feel like nothingness is not loss, it's a clearing. And it's the moment where the old stories dissolve, your ego pressure drops. You just realize you don't have to force the outcome. The control is not what's important here. It's about being receptive to the flow, new ideas, problem solving, emotional expression through art or planning or whatever that is for you. You have 3 energy births here that basically are coming out. So I feel like the deeper message is as well, stop trying to control everything and return to yourself here. because your harmony is going to stabilize. You're going to see your connections flow more naturally, and your creativity really opens up. So no more people pleasing, because we are the world, which is kind of that card of overgiving as well. It becomes, or the shadow side of it can be overgiving. So these are the things just to be mindful of in this month. I feel like it's moving in more of a positive tone, but that's what I'm looking at. And there's something here that was kind of a Zen-like thing that came through for this. There's kind of an energy of, when you empty yourself, nothingness, you become whole, which is aloneness. And from wholeness, you create, which is creativity. And that's what the cards represent here. So it's not about forcing things in March again to deliver something. It's about becoming, finding your inner stable, your own inner nirvana, to kind of be at the center of creation and things going forward. So really, that's what I've got here for you, but very positive. And like I said, I just feel like this is a really good timeline for you in the month of March. Okay, and what do we have here for Dallas? Dallas. Sorry, I'll get your cards ready to go here. Do you have a specific question that you wanted to ask? This is a reading for Dallas. This is now a reading for Dallas for the month of March 2026. What is coming in for Dallas in the month of March? So yeah, definitely Dallas, $5 was good. And I'll just, again, if you have a specific question, just let me know, throw that up there. But otherwise, I'll do it as a general. What is coming in for Dallas in the month of March? Isolation, exhaustion, control, moment to moment. And schizophrenia. Now, again, don't think of that as literally schizophrenia. It's like a fragmented mind and kind of being pulled in different directions. Clarify schizophrenia. Aloneness. Why so isolated? Why the card of abundance? Politics. And why the politics with abundance? The Lovers. Bottom of the deck, comparison. And summary. I will give you a summary of all of this. So, sorry, I'm just trying to organize the cards. Okay, so I'll pull the other cards off to the side there because we did have a little bit of additional... Sorry, I'm going to reset my little camera and just doing it en route. I don't have a lot of time, so I just do these things as I can, guys. So yeah, what I'm seeing here is, it does look like there is a sense of something that you're dealing with in terms of, could be dealing with a relationship, could be dealing with something that is mother figure here as well. But I do feel like with the cards of isolation, exhaustion, control, moment to moment, and schizophrenia kind of fragmentation, and all the clarifiers, which I'll go through here again, it feels like you are feeling alone at this time. It's not necessarily that you've been abandoned, but it definitely feels like it's a self-imposed withdrawal. So it's like you're doing a lot of processing internally here. And I feel like you're not trusting easily. It definitely has, energy around exhaustion and burnout, but you're almost to the end cycle of that. There is that overthinking, that emotional fatigue, stress from juggling a lot of responsibilities, running low on emotional, bandwidth, all of that. I would say that what that could look like, especially with the card of control coming out here, is that you're trying to control the narrative, you're trying to control the conversation, you're trying to control what's available to you, and there's emotional detachment because of that. So control for you is like a defense mechanism. It's against, being vulnerable. And I feel like, you're in survival mode in the moment here. And that's what that moment to moment sort of feels like. I feel like you have kind of mental shift split energy here with your mindset, head versus heart, independence versus connection, being vulnerable versus, starting to open up, that kind of thing. Pride. It's definitely an internal contradiction. It's not instability, is what I see here. It just feels like, you know, again, with the loneliness card out here, it's not telling me that you're really alone. It just feels like you feel isolated. It definitely feels like there's self containment, and you may actually be learning independence at this time. But it is a maturity cycle that's nearing completion because it is a 9 energy. I do feel like there's something here with abundance, and that is kind of like an interesting combination. Because again, over to the side here, we had the card of lovers, politics, and abundance, and these were the clarifiers. So what that really kind of tells me is that you have more than you think. So despite this isolation, it still suggests that, you may be financially or materially doing fairly well. You're okay there, but you're emotionally closed off in some way. Could be dealing with Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But it's not like abundance is in lack here for you. I would say there's also that energy of, you're positioning yourself around, your ego is sort of in around your self-worth, your value, your money. You're comparing yourself to others. You're feeling pressure to be successful. You're kind of guarded around your financial situation, and that may be why abundance is around that isolation card, but it may be tied to your pride here as well. The card of lovers is also present, and that is also an indication that there's a heartfelt or heart-based decision involved here. So under all of that fragmentation and the mind being kind of torn in a lot of different directions, there's a choice here for you. So I feel like you're resisting vulnerability. You don't want to, leave yourself in a space where you feel like you're going to lose something. So it's like you are feeling some sense of mental trap. Again, it's you against you, but I don't see any direct obstacles here. This could be, you against others or you against expectations of how things should look or should be. But either way, it's exhausting you. And I would say that you don't want to appear weak. Again, you're mentally overwhelmed and because you're doing a lot of self comparison here. And again, I feel like you think it's safer to be, um, you feel like it's safer to be pulled back than to expose yourself. But materially, or whatever the situation is here, it doesn't feel like things are collapsing in any way because that tension to me is showing up as internal, not external. And again, I feel like there's a lot of pride involved here. And if this is, dealing with another person here, there's someone here that feels, pulled way back and not engaging and would be very vulnerable. And the other person I would say is because there's a lot of energy around independence and, and maybe the comparison is jealousy. But I don't know if that's coming off on your behalf or another person, but either way, I feel like moment to moment, the day will start to stabilize, and things will start to look like quiet growth for you. I don't see this as it's like a recalibrating month, internal sorting out of things for you, I would say, Dallas. And I feel like it's not an outward kind of explosion. So even if you're wondering, why you feel distant, it's because you're inconsistent emotionally. And so swinging back and forth between, warm and receptive and then withdrawing, that creates inner tension as well. So it's not rejection. If we are talking about a relationship here, it's just that somebody's mentally overloaded or emotionally guarded, and pride is influencing behavior. So there is still a choice of the heart that's trying to break through here, but the independence is strengthening. And I just feel like it's a month for you to move closer or further away from something. So again, the choice is yours. But hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight or direction. Yeah, I really like these cards too, Vino. But hopefully that gave you a little bit more clarity. And again, I'll do other reads here. So if you want a little bit more on the tarot front, we can do that also. But that's what I've got for the month of March. So keep moving forward. Never give up. It's not how good you are. It's how good you want to be. And again, just to remember that this is a life-changing month in a incremental way. So take it as it resonates, and we'll see you in the next read.